Era it is appropriate to remember. Students are human beings with perspectives as valid as any others. They are not an underclass, and they must not be treated like one. They are not wrong because I don't do what they do, or because they do what I do. And like all human beings, I, need to grow to be happy, to be healthy, to feel good about ourselves. And what's more, each and every one of us want to do just that. Walls, fences, immutable institutional structures tend to restrict growth. And knowledge is not the property of any man or woman, no matter rank or status in the world. Real growth requires more than somebody telling us what history we should remember or how to spell a word. It requires that we be in touch with our bodies so we don't hold our tensions until they make us sick. It requires that we express our feelings and our thoughts and our ambitions without worrying that someone will think less of us for it. It requires that we be ourselves. And to help us, we need some nurturance from those around, some toleration for our oddness, some compassion for our pain, some companions for our parties, a little love, you know. After all, we're not so different from one another. We all want to be individuals, somehow to make a difference. We all want to be part of a group, a family, a community who enjoy us. We all want a special someone or two to care about us over time. We are not so different. What feels good to me, I'll suggest to you and call it teaching. What feels good to you, you say to me and call it learning. We are not so different. Today marks the end of an era. I wish I could dignify the occasion with appropriate words, but words somehow cannot express our garden. Words cannot convey the spring. For spring is not a place, and spring is not a person. Spring is the flowering of a soul. Let our tears soften the path on which we walk. Let our hugs warm our bellies with joy. Spring has led to summer. It is the end of an era that has no end. Farewell, Miltzeiler. Farewell, South Annex. Farewell, Class of '80. Look how fine our gardens grow. Maslow-Toffler staff member in his second year, and one of the most dedicated and hard-working young teachers that I've ever found, Mr. Robert Freeman.
I'd like to welcome everyone here, and including that welcome our new facilitators for next year, Ms. Margaret Ham and Grace Duricki. I've been very busy the past 2 weeks, and writing a speech for a Maslow-Toffler graduation is not the easiest thing to do. And one day I was sitting down, and I had an idea. I grabbed my pen from my pocket and the nearest piece of paper available and wrote down notes for my speech. Well, I have the notes. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to recopy them, so you'll have to indulge me as I get the notes, the paper which I wrote my notes on. Oh, yes, I got it. What I have to talk about is something really precious to me. It's been probably one of the most precious things in my life, and probably a very precious things in a lot of people's lives, and that's Maslow-Toffler. It's strange, though, things that are precious to us we often don't appreciate while they're there. And I'd like to share with you something that Fritz Perls wrote in and Out of the Garbage Pail. Please don't accuse me of talking trash. This is something he came across a very precious moment, and it had to do with his cat. His cat was named Mitzi, and this is what he had to say. One morning I woke up and I saw my 2.5-foot sombrero moving next to my bed. I lifted the hat and there was Mitzi, cradling a bird in her front paws. I felt a shock. 3 weeks before, I had seen my living room strewn with feathers, a sure sign that Mitzi had caught and eaten a bird. I took the bird away, her eyes sad. The bird was intact and could fly away after 10 minutes recovery. How could I assume that Mitzi was merely affectionate? Who has ever heard a cat cradling a bird? Without my shock, I could have taken a picture and could have shown off such a rare occurrence. See, Fritz had been trained to associate cats and birds as enemies, birds being praised of cats. He had been taught that. If he had been a little bit wiser, as I hope we are, we can look at a rare occurrence right here in Brentwood, the Maslow-Toffler School, as, yes, indeed, rare, yes, indeed, unexpected, but indeed very, very precious. And we have cameras here today, and I hope you'll take pictures of that very rare and precious occurrence. And before I go, I just have to say goodbye to a few people. I have to say goodbye to all the graduates who I've learned so much from and shared so much with. I'll really miss you. And I hope you'll always come back and be here. You're right here. And Ken, I have to thank you for all that you've taught me. You've got me dancing. And I'm really happy about that. And Milt, I love you. And I've had the honor and the privilege to work with you for 2 years. And it's really been a very high point in my life. That's about it. Now, I would like to ask everybody to please stand. I'm going to, the next person on the program is a special speaker. So, is everyone standing? Okay. Here's Papa. He may be a little shy, so why don't you just keep up the applause?
Brothers and sisters, you can all sit down now. Brothers and sisters, I've heard rumors that this school has been called a cult. I'm here to dispel those rumors here today. Brothers and sisters, I don't know where that idea ever started, but everybody knows we kill them with kindness. There's been some terrible conspiracies going on around here. We have a double agent that just this week brought us up to date with what's been going on. You know all those little people you've seen running around here all year? The little ones. You thought they was children, didn't you? Midgets! Midgets! I saw one of them the other day walk up to Gail Tanner and say, Gail, how many people come to community meeting? And he wrote it down. I saw another one the other day wanted to know, how many people come next year? Wrote it down. Well, I hope this puts an end to all those rumors. And I think right now, I'd like to ask you to give a nice round of applause to this wonderful security force of ours, Brother Chuck and Brother Chris and Brother Mike. I lost my speech. I lost my speech, I really did. But never being at a loss for words and always having a backup. I thought it would have been appropriate that in addition to the beautiful remarks that you've already heard today, that we would try to reach somebody of national reputation who has done a great deal of work in the future and on the future, and also has a sense of humor, because given the fact that just made reference to this little episode in one of the charges that in fact have been made, you've got to be able to laugh at some of these things because they're just too sad otherwise. I contacted a fellow whose name you all know last week on the phone, and he was unable to be here today. But he did give permission for me to read his speech to the graduates. I've taken the liberties to co-write it with him, even though he doesn't know that. That's a terrible thing to do to a guy. But if you'd like to see copies of the original speech, you can, I'll make sure that copies of it are left here, and Conrad will have them in the office, whether we're here or over at the village, and you can obtain copies of Woody Allen's original speech to the graduates. I'd like to share it with you now, okay? These are with some slight adjustments. More than at any other time in history, mankind faces a crossroads. One path leads to despair and utter hopelessness, and the other to total extinction. Let us pray we have the wisdom to choose correctly. I speak, by the way, not with any sense of futility, but with a panicky conviction of the absolute meaninglessness of existence, which could easily be misinterpreted as pessimism. It is not. It is merely a healthy concern for the predicament of modern man. Modern man is here defined as any person born after the Nietzsche edict that God is dead. But before the hit recording, I want to hold your hand. This predicament can be stated in